Hi guys. So my name is Jay, and I'm going to be doing a review of the book "Children of Time" by Adrian Tchaikovsky. Uh, and this is a book that was published in 2015, I believe. Um, I'll give you a brief overview of what this book is all about, and then I'll also discuss some of the important themes that this book manages to touch on. Um, so this book actually tells the parallel story of humans in search for an alternate home in the universe, and a species of spiders who are evolving on a planet um, previously terraformed by the humans. Now the story begins by introducing us to a scientist named Dr. Khan, who has already been sent out into the space to find a new home for the humans. Now, as part of this expedition, she's actually running an experiment where she plans to send a group of monkeys down to a planet that she has identified, but not before infecting them with a nanovirus in order to help them evolve into sentient beings. However, her idea of providing monkeys with sentience doesn't sit well with some members of group, obviously because of their religious leanings, and they end up sabotaging her efforts. Now, this is where the real twist comes in the book. The monkeys never make it down to the planet as originally intended, but the host virus does make it down to the planet and starts spawning a new life through an unexpected species, uh, spiders. Now, this is a very interesting take on what a first contact with an alien species might look like. I'm not sure if something like this has been done before in a work of science fiction. So this the premise itself was very interesting. So getting back to the premise, so we fast forward a couple of generations, and we come across these humans who are aboard a ship called Gilgamesh. Now they eventually discover Dr. Kern's planet, which is now inhabited by the spiders. The humans identified this planet as one of the viable options for settling on. Now, their struggle to land on this planet and their eventual face-off with the spiders living on this planet is what rest of this book actually talks about. This book actually spans across multiple generations while managing to keep some of the key characters alive through the use of suspension chambers and cryosleep. Uh, I don't want to give much away as far as the story is concerned, because there's a lot of interesting things that's going on in this book. But that's just a brief summary. Um, Now, besides the storyline, I feel like this book actually touches on a lot of good themes. This book does have a lot of believable science and biology. Sorry, biology to it, but it also requires some suspension of disbelief in places, and it's understandable given that it's a work of fiction. Uh, so I don't make a big deal about it. Uh, Now, while reading this book, you might get a sense that this book is almost misanthropic and almost human hating at times. Uh, but some of the points which the book ends up raising are quite valid. Um, it does talk about the warlike and the killing nature of our human species, and our inability to coexist with each other and other species. Tchaikovsky has done a brilliant job. He has gone to extreme lengths to show how the spiders evolve, and how the societies in the spider world are structured. This is also a society where the females play a much more dominant role, and the males are essentially only good for mating, just to keep the species going. So it's almost something very different from what you would get to see in a human society. But this structure does undergo a change and eventually gets upended towards the end of the book, as the species evolve and as the story progresses. Towards the end, I surprisingly ended up cheering for the spiders because of the manner in which Tchaikovsky brings this book to a wonderful conclusion. Uh, Now, having said all about this, I still feel that this book uh, does have some flaws. So the first flaw I believe is, now if you are the kind of a reader who likes characters with some depth, and the kind of characters that you would want to relate to, I feel that that's something that you will not get from Children of Time. Uh, my personal take on this has always been that science fiction is a literature of ideas. It's never really something that you go in for purely fictional elements or the relatable characters, because this book actually does touch on a lot of interesting themes. So that's what I like about this book. But if you're the kind of a reader who is looking to find some relatable characters, then that's something that you may not find here. Um, but I would still suggest that you give this book a try, because it does have an expansive and a breathtaking storyline. Um, the second flaw that I would like to talk about is, I took a long time to finish this book, um, because at times I did find the writing style too verbose and almost difficult to get through. But this book has a lot of interesting content that generates enough fodder for thought, so it makes you want to stick till the end. Um, and like I mentioned before, the parts of the book do appear misanthropic and human hating, but the conclusion is very hopeful, positive, and it comes with a twist. So I'm definitely interested in what's going to happen to the humans and the spiders in the story, and how Tchaikovsky might end up taking them forward in his next set of books in the series. Uh, so that's a little my little review of this book. I hope you enjoyed it, and I suggest you give it a try. Despite all the flaws that I mentioned, I feel that this is still a pretty solid science fiction book. Um, and unlike anything that you might have read in the recent years, um, and like I mentioned, uh, the final moral dilemma that you tend to have after reading this book is, uh, do humans deserve another chance at survival, considering how much destruction they have brought to planet Earth through their use of technology and the overuse of earthly resources. Uh, so I've decided to start this channel up with this work of science fiction. Though I believe that all genres have interesting stories to tell, so I'll be covering a lot more genres in the coming weeks and months. I'll also be tackling more complex works of fiction in the coming weeks. So please stay tuned. And if you like this video, please like it. And thanks for watching.